This is CBN News Watch.
It is Tuesday, December 8th. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, an historic event as the first COVID-19 vaccine shot is given in the United Kingdom, and it cannot come too soon as the U.S. continues to see record numbers of cases. We're going to speak with our CBN News medical reporter, Lori Johnson. As the deadline for completing the presidential election process arrives, legal challenges still underway, including one that could reach its way to the U.S. Supreme Court. So what would a Biden administration agenda be when it comes to abortion? We're going to hear the pro-life argument that it could be the most radical ever. And taking on theological questions from a tough audience, children. We're going to tell you about a Bible study for all ages called The Gospel Project. All those stories and more are ahead in this edition of CBN News Watch. I want to begin this half hour with a major turning point in the battle against COVID-19. Today, British health authorities rolled out the first doses of a widely tested and independently reviewed vaccine. It is the beginning of a global immunization program as more vaccines win approval. Doctors gave the first shot to Margaret Keenan, who turns 91 next week. It happened at University Hospital Coventry. Reporters asked Keenan what she would say to those having second thoughts about getting the shot.
Well, I'd say go for it. Go for it because it's free and it's the best thing that's ever happened at the moment. So please go for it. That's all I say, you know. If I can do it, well, so can you know?
The UK is getting a head start on the vaccination project after British regulators gave emergency authorization December 2nd to a vaccine produced by U.S. drug maker Pfizer and BioNTech of Germany. The first 800,000 doses are going to people older than 80 who are hospitalized or already scheduled to have outpatient appointments, along with nursing home workers. Only those who are most at risk from the virus will be vaccinated in the early stages. Others will have to wait until next year. Here in the U.S., President Donald Trump is set to sign an executive order today ensuring Americans have access to COVID vaccines before the U.S. helps other countries. This comes as the number of cases and hospitalizations are still rising. With us now to talk more about the coronavirus situation here in the United States is CBN medical reporter Lori Johnson. So let's begin with this. Of course, we know the U.S. is continuing to see record numbers of deaths. What's the message from health experts as we now move into winter?
Well, you know, winter months are always really bad, and it's expected to get even worse as far as coronavirus cases, hospitalizations, and deaths, Ephraim, because when the weather gets colder, we move indoors, and it's really hard to get together with people indoors and keep those masks on. And so once again, the recommendation is, hey, there's a huge holiday coming up. We usually get together with out-of-towners. Let's go ahead and put that off until next year. That was the warning for Thanksgiving. Not everybody decided to heed that warning, and a lot of health experts say that's why we are now seeing the largest death toll since the very beginning of the pandemic. I'm talking about 15,000 Americans died in the last 7 days. That's the deadliest week that we've ever had since the pandemic began. That's about 2,200 people per day. That boils down to 1.2 deaths per minute in the United States. And so we really need to put the brakes on this personal interaction, particularly Christmas coming up.
Indeed. One reliable agency issued a grim prediction regarding deaths in the United States. What is that?
Right. So we're talking about the University of Washington Medical School, the Division of Health Metrics, which has a very good track record of predicting things. Now, hold on to your shirt because they're predicting that by April 1st in America, we will see 539,000 deaths. That's almost twice the number of deaths we have right now. We have about 284,000 deaths right now, and they're talking about that number for April 1st. That's even with a vaccine, because we know that it's going to take a while before, number one, everybody gets a vaccine, but also even once you get it, it's 2 shots, the Pfizer and the Moderna, and the AstraZeneca shots are 2. Johnson & Johnson is just 1 shot, but you take 1 vaccine shot and then you wait 3 weeks, get another one, and then you're not fully immunized for another week, so that's a whole month. So even though we're going to probably start seeing people in the United States get their first vaccines next week, That's great. They're not even going to be immune for about another month.
As you said there, so the Pfizer vaccine could be approved this week for Americans, and it'll be another month, you're thinking, before we actually see the effects of this?
That's right. And so right away, the body does start producing those antibodies, but they really don't ramp up until about a month after. So we're probably going to see about 25 million people vaccinated in the United States by the end of the year. That's great. And so about another 25 million every month thereafter, unless we see more of these vaccines starting to get approved.
At the start of this story, we talked about the president issuing an executive order regarding vaccines. Explain to us what this means exactly.
Well, this is part of his America First agenda. And so basically he's saying that, yes, we understand that there's a huge need around the world, these developing countries, so-called third world countries who can't afford and they don't have vaccines and they need them. And so, but the question is, when do we help them out? And so President Trump is saying, look, let's wait until all of the Americans who want to be vaccinated get their vaccines, and then we'll start supplying other countries with vaccines. That's what the executive order is. First Americans, and then we'll start helping the rest of the world. And that should be in about April.
Okay, let's look ahead to this evening on Healthy Living. What can people look forward to?
Well, we're talking about the health benefits of fasting, and my guest is Josh Axe. And so this is great for we're talking about intermittent fasting, where you go like 12, 14, 16, 18 hours a day without food. And it's great to actually prevent against COVID and a lot of other diseases, too. It's really great to strengthen your immune system.
Big proponent of intermittent fasting.
Me
do it
too.
myself. So
Me
thank
too.
you.
Love it.
Thank you. Want to let you know at home that you can, of course, watch Healthy Living this evening at 8:30 Eastern. You can find that on the CBN News Channel. Want to turn now to the 2020 election. President Trump and his legal team are pushing ahead with election challenges, but time is quickly running out. A legal challenge in one state is heading to the U.S. Supreme Court as it considers whether to hear a challenge to the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court's action on the deadline for mail-in votes. CBN's Jenna Browder brings us the story. She's following it all from Washington.
President Trump is promising a big week ahead as his legal team continues to mount challenges in states where the race was close. But so far, more setbacks than successes. The Pennsylvania case challenges a law passed by the legislature that allows mail-in voting, the plaintiff arguing that it takes an amendment of the Constitution. If the High Court hears the case and agrees, it could invalidate most of Pennsylvania's mail-in votes. Senator Ted Cruz, who has won cases in the Supreme Court, told Fox News' Sean Hannity he would argue the case.
In Pennsylvania, the problem was made worse because the Pennsylvania Supreme Court is a partisan Democratic court that has issued multiple decisions that were just on their face contrary to law. And that's not how elections are supposed to work.
Meanwhile, at the White House, the president predicted even more activity this week.
But you'll see a lot of big things happening over the next couple of days.
CBN chief political analyst David Brody spelled it out on CBN's Faith Nation.
The U.S. Supreme Court could get involved in the Pennsylvania case. And then you've got Michigan, what's going on in Michigan with Antrim County and those the forensic audit of the Dominion voting system machines. We're going to hear more about that in the next day or two. And then Wisconsin, there is a case before the U.S. or the Wisconsin Supreme Court. So lots going on.
And Arizona's High Court has agreed to review an appeal based on the state Republican Party's challenge to the state certification of votes. But so far, legal challenges on behalf of the president haven't met much success. On Monday, suits filed by Sidney Powell, a former member of Trump's legal team, were thrown out in Michigan and Georgia. The suits claimed rigged voting machines switched massive amounts of votes from Trump to Biden.
Sidney Powell made their debut in Georgia court. Her case has been thrown out from the bench by the judge. He didn't even take the time to consider it. Her case was so bad, the federal judge literally threw it out of court from the bench.
Another Georgia case submitted by the president's attorneys was thrown out because the attorney didn't pay the filing fee or fill out the paperwork correctly. The team later corrected and resubmitted the suit. Despite the president's calls for the governor to intervene, Georgia's Secretary of State recertified the vote that gave Biden the state by nearly 12,000 ballots.
We have now counted legally cast ballots 3 times, and the results remain unchanged.
With Rudy Giuliani now in the hospital with COVID, it's unclear who's leading the team. The president gave an update on his health at the White House Monday.
Rudy's doing well. I just spoke to him. He's doing very well.
And today is the deadline for states to ratify their electors who will cast their votes for president on December 14th. In Washington, Jenna Browder, CBN News.
Coming up, we're going to take a look at the Biden administration's possible policy on one of the most divisive issues in America. We're going to explore abortion. We'll take a look at their plans right after this.
For over 20 years, groups, families, and individuals have been saving money with the Avia Dental Plan.
For as little as $8.25 a month, members can save up to 50% or more on dental care.
Plus, everyone qualifies, and there is no waiting or limits on visits to the dentist.
Start saving today with the Avia Dental Plan.
Go to getlowcostdental.com or call 1-888-431-2273. Smile. You're with people who care.
What do you get when you combine a child's imagination with a comfy critter? Giggles, lasting memories, friendships, security. Children love our fun characters, and they make the perfect gift for any occasion. Find your child's favorite comfy critter today at mycomfycritters.com. Introducing Comfy Critters, a wearable stuffed animal that is also a fluffy pillow, cozy hooded blanket, or even a super fun costume. Let your child's imagination grow with their favorite comfy critter. Go to mycomfycritters.com and pick your child's favorite comfy critter today.
If you're over 50, imagine you could turn back the clock on your stiff, achy joints 10, even 20 years. Imagine you could do this without products that just temporarily hide the symptoms and may have side effects. Imagine no more. Introducing Instaflex Advanced. Get a complimentary sample just by texting MOVE to 231231. Instaflex Advanced is different because it targets the root cause of joint soreness and stiffness. It doesn't just cover up symptoms. Instead, it bathes your joints in its unique combination of 5 key natural ingredients found in no other product. Key ingredients backed by 5 clinical studies. Instaflex Advanced is so powerful, you could have better knees in just 1 week. Maybe that's why it's the #1 selling joint brand at GNC. But you can only get your complimentary sample by texting MOVE to 231231. Plus, text now and we'll include a tube of Instaflex Pain Cream with its exclusive oxygenated oil for fast-acting relief from the pain of arthritis, backaches, and sore muscles, absolutely free. Text MOVE to 231231.
Get the top political news and analysis from Washington on Faith Nation, tonight at 6 Eastern, only on the CBN News Channel.
Welcome back to CBN News Watch. Pro-life critics say a Biden White House would promote and pursue one of the most extreme abortion agendas in history. And they warn his running mate has a radical plan that would prevent states from having the power to stop it. Paul Strand brings us the story now from Washington.
What Joe Biden and Kamala Harris would like to see is your tax dollars going to pay for abortions to a degree we've never seen before.
And that would be abortion all the way up through 9 months.
Mallory Quigley at the Susan B. Anthony list.
They've stated this as being one of their big goals.
Although polls show that's opposed by 60% of American voters, including 35% of Democrats.
States have fought back against such abortion extremism in the past by handling matters legislatively, passing their own laws.
I anticipate that we would see something similar to that if there's a Biden-Harris White House.
But Kamala Harris has proposed a way to stop that.
The Department of Justice would be instructed to pre-clear bills that state legislatures wanted to pass that were pro-life. This is a complete violation of separation of powers.
Another sign of Biden's extremism on abortion is his pick of California Attorney General Xavier Becerra to head up Health and Human Services, the agency most involved with regulating abortion. Becerra is aggressively pro-abortion, states Susan B. Anthony lists President Marjorie Dannenfelser. In Congress, he even voted in favor of partial birth abortion. Kristen Day of Democrats for Life says some congressional Democrats will fight Biden's pro-abortion extremism.
We're hopeful that he will not be able to take some of his policies to fruition.
But to maybe lower the number of abortions, Day hopes he'd back programs to improve women's economic circumstances so they'd feel they don't have to abort their unborn.
We would rather see money going toward, the Pregnancy Assistance Fund and coming up with innovative ways to support women to actually carry the child to term and support for the new families once that child is born.
Quigley expects Biden would return to his former boss Barack Obama's efforts to make pro-life medical workers violate their conscience by taking part in abortions, and also make pro-life organizations support it in their health plans. Biden says he'd force that even on the Little Sisters of the Poor, who live to serve the elderly, sick, and dying.
Their mission has absolutely nothing to do with the destruction of life, and he would see them be forced to pay for abortion-inducing drugs in their healthcare programs.
If Biden does end up as president, one of the only bodies to stand in the way of his abortion agenda will be a Republican-controlled Senate, which is why those runoff races in Georgia next month are so important. They'll determine if Democrats or Republicans reign in the Senate. Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.
Still ahead, we're exploring a few questions. If China invaded Taiwan, and if it does, what would the United States do? Take action or stay out of the conflict and let China become the master of the Pacific? We're going to have that story for you and those questions answered right after this.
Do loose batteries clutter up your house? Is finding the right size impossible? And why do they always waste precious space? What you need is the Battery Daddy storage system, the new compact and portable way to organize, store, and protect all your batteries. Turn any disaster into an organized master. Battery Daddy uses both sides to store all types of different batteries, even coin size. The unique design groups them for easy selection. You could even find one with a blindfold on. Best of all, it packs 180 batteries, yet takes up about the space of a laptop. Perfect in any cabinet, drawer, or shelf. Forget flimsy bags or messy containers. Battery Daddy stays organized forever guaranteed, and the carrying handle lets you bring it anywhere. Use it during power outages and never go searching in the dark. Select the right battery for kids' toys in an instant, or tackle household chores with the precision of a pro. Watch out, loose batteries can touch and drain power. Not with Battery Daddy. They stay fully charged and protected in their own compartment. Keep one in the house and one in the office, boat, or RV to organize, store, and protect all your batteries. Plus, the clear locking lid lets you see everything at a glance. Amazing! Act now to get your Battery Daddy for just $19.99. And here's an electrifying deal. We'll include the battery tester, so you'll instantly know which batteries are bad and which are good, saving you time and money. Yours absolutely free. End the battery blues with Battery Daddy for just $19.99. Call now.
To order, call 1-800-583-5251 or go online at batterydaddy.com. Don't delay, call 1-800-583-5251 or go online at batterydaddy.com. Order now.
Someday, in the not-too-distant future, the United States could find itself in the middle of a war between China and the island nation of Taiwan. And America will have to decide whether to stay out of it or allow China to become the master of the Pacific. Dale Hurd brings us the story.
This is video of the Chinese military practicing an amphibious assault against the island of Taiwan. Communist China views democratic Taiwan as a renegade province that must be reunified with the mainland. Incursions by Chinese fighter planes into Taiwan airspace have been happening almost daily since the summer, and some experts believe the two countries are closer than ever to war. And if Taiwan cannot repel a Chinese invasion, the U.S. might decide it must come to Taiwan's rescue. But if you assume the United States would win a war with China over Taiwan, you might be interested in a game they play at the Pentagon. In a war game put on by the RAND Corporation for Pentagon planners, the U.S. routinely loses, mostly because of how far many U.S. military bases are from Taiwan.
For them, it's a home game. For us, we have to sail across
the Pacific.
But China expert Dean Cheng at the Heritage Foundation thinks despite all the saber-rattling by the communist leaders in Beijing, a planned invasion of Taiwan would be too risky. China still doesn't have the landing craft to ferry enough troops across the Taiwan Strait. It would have to use commercial shipping.
Any kind of invasion of Taiwan means crossing 100 miles of some of the worst water in the world by a military that hasn't fought a war since 1979 and runs the very real risk of American intervention.
The author of Bully of Asia, China expert Stephen Mosier, agrees, saying the last thing Beijing wants is a shooting war with the United States.
What it wants to do is it wants to use this gray area between war and peace to continue its cyber attacks, to continue its espionage in other countries, but it certainly would use force in the future if it thought it had achieved a position of dominance.
A war with the United States would also decimate China's export-driven economy. A 2016 RAND study said war would slash more than a third from China's gross domestic product and shrink America's by as much as 10%. Dr. Robert Farley teaches at the Patterson School of Diplomacy and the U.S. Army War College.
The damage that a war between the United States and China would cause, both in material terms, but especially in economic terms, is virtually incalculable. An actual war between the U.S. and China would be a financial apocalypse. It would be an economic apocalypse for both countries and for lots of other countries.
But even if China does not launch a planned invasion of Taiwan, war could still break out anyway. China's repeated incursions into Taiwanese airspace could trigger a shooting war that could quickly turn into a regional war for dominance of the South China Sea. Some in the Philippines believe China would seize at least part of their territory in a war with the United States. Farley says China has entered a dangerous phase, becoming more belligerent as its military has become more sophisticated.
The core of China's security policy is this realization that they basically are surrounded by enemies and potential enemies. And so we have to be assertive, and we have to be aggressive, and we have to demonstrate to all of them that we will not back down. So where we really have to watch, I think, is Taiwan.
The United States has never explicitly committed itself to the defense of Taiwan. Some in Congress believe it's time to start. But if America does come to Taiwan's rescue, hopefully the Pentagon has learned something from all those losses to China during war games. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Coming up, a college professor takes on theological questions from a tough source, children. You're going to hear why he says God gives us the answers to life questions in the Bible. We've got the story for you when we come back.
Everybody has a flashlight, but can your flashlight fit in your pocket, light up the night super bright, and even save your life in an emergency? This one can. Nick Bolton here to tell you about the newest tack light innovation, the Bell & Howell Tack Pen. That's right, we made a tack light the size of a pen, yet without sacrificing any features. Visible up to 2 nautical miles away, has a disorienting defensive strobe, zooms in to focus its beam wherever you want, and won't quit even in the most bitter cold or extreme heat. And yes, it survived getting run over by my Humvee. Try that with a regular flashlight. That's not all. Because it's so slim, it's easy to take with you. And it has a few new features you'll love, like an emergency escape tool that can shatter glass. Now that's what I call military tough. It even has a built-in multi-tool for quick fixes. And oh yeah, it's actually a working pen. So let's review. The Bell & Howell Tack Pen has all the great features of our tack light. The same durability you come to expect. Clips to your pocket so you can take it anywhere. Can help you make quick repairs or break a window in an emergency. It even functions like a regular pen. I mean, there's just nothing like it on the market today.
Act now to get your Bell & Howell Tack Pen for just $19.99, and we'll even ship it to you free. Tack Pen is the only working pen and super bright tack light featuring zoom and defensive strobe functions, and including an escape tool and multi-tool with screwdriver and bottle opener. Plus, like all of our tactical products, it features genuine Bell & Howell craftsmanship, backed by our 10-year warranty. But wait, while supplies last, you can get a second one. Just pay a separate fee. So don't delay. Get yours today.
To order, call 1-800-836-4073 or go to buytackpen.com. That's 1-800-836-4073, or you can order online at buytackpen.com.
It has the power to influence weight loss, boost your immune system, and improve brain function.
We've seen an explosion of data on the role of the gut microbiome in health.
The free Build a Better Gut booklet reveals the latest information about the gut microbiome. You'll discover how your gut affects the rest of your health.
The gut microbiome has been linked to depression and cancer and heart disease.
Learn how to build a stronger, healthier gut.
The microbiome, if it's in good composition, are really protecting us all the time from more invasive things.
Get the Build a Better Gut booklet, free from the Christian Broadcasting Network. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut.
You need to make sure that your microbes are working with you, not against you.
And if you order online, you'll get immediate access to the Build a Better Gut series, a digital copy of the booklet, and related bonus material. Build a Better Gut today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut for your free copy.
Check out the CBN News Daily Rundown podcast each weekday with me, Caitlin Burke. Click on the show tab at cbnnews.com where you can listen and subscribe.
A college professor is set to tackle theological questions from children. It's all part of Lifeway's Gospel Project, a Christ-centered Bible study for all ages. The questions and answers will be captured on video for elementary school-age children. Dr. Kevin Jones, Dean of Education at Cedarville University in Ohio, is partnering with Lifeway to answer these biblical questions. He tells CBN's The Prayer Link program that God has given us all the answers to life questions.
When a 5 or 6 year old asks you a question like, hey, explain to me how an orange grows, you better be ready to answer that. We talk about these being questions for kids, but I also understand that sometimes older believers come to faith in Christ later on in the life. So if you're 50 and you just came to know Christ, you may actually have some of the same questions that a 9-year-old may have. And so not only can these questions bless the hearts and minds of the little kids that submit them, but we also hope that adults too would learn from our responses.
Indeed they will. To learn more about Lifeway's Gospel Project and to see more of the Prayer Link, you can catch it this evening at 6:30 Eastern on the CBN News Channel. Before we say goodbye, it is time for your Tuesday Tweetable, and today I want to leave you with the lyrics of an old hymn that rested on my heart when I woke this morning. I encourage you to go find it, listen to it, and take a real close look at the lyrics. I must tell Jesus, I must tell Jesus, I cannot bear these burdens alone. I must tell Jesus, I must tell Jesus, Jesus can help me, Jesus alone. In my distress, He kindly will help me. He ever cares and loves His own. May those words bless you as they have blessed me on this Tuesday in December. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN Newswatch. I want to remind you, you can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel. Of course, you can find them there at any time. You can also find them online at cbnnews.com. Please email us, newswatch@cbn.com, with your comments and concerns about today's stories, or reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Hope to see you right back here tomorrow. Goodbye, everybody. God bless.